Good morning. I was outside yesterday, kind of assessing what's happening in my yard and in my little garden areas. I planted some spring bulbs back in October, and a lot of them are coming up. And some of them are not coming up, and I'm wondering if perhaps it ended up that those things were squirrel food over the winter. I don't know. Maybe it's too early to tell. Planting stuff. I have been doing it since I was a kid with my grandfather. My grandfather was raised not a farmer per se. There weren't any animals that I know of, but they raised a lot of produce. And the women folk would have preserved and canned and found ways of living off of the land, probably all through the winter because of their efforts during the growing season. And so, as even a small boy, I was out with my grandfather in his pretty big garden, for for two people. It was a lot of stuff, and there were berries to be picked, and those ubiquitous currants, which I still miss because you can't really buy them anywhere unless you buy the bushes for yourself. Fresh raspberries, right? All kinds of good memories about growing stuff, including flowers and bulbs and all of that. There's something very therapeutic for me about playing in the dirt. Something very satisfying about getting dirt under your fingernails, the smell of the earth. I'm always amazed, really, that the stuff that I plant in the fall, these brown, seemingly lifeless lumps, actually turn into stuff in the spring. And the same thing is true with flowers, right? One thing that David turned me on to was these little bags or boxes of mixed wildflower seeds, and you just prepare the soil, you throw these seeds on there, you cover them up a little bit, and you water them, and unexpected things come up, cool things that just kind of take over, and you end up with a whole patch of just this riot of color and interesting plants, and it lasts the whole growing season, basically. There's just something about it. Something about doing it. It has probably saved me hundreds of thousands of dollars in therapy bills because I find it very centering and very grounding, pun not intended there. There's a lot of work involved in it, truthfully, whether you're doing it, in the soil, in a bed somewhere in your yard, or even if you're doing gardening in pots or these growing bags. It still takes some effort to kind of keep an eye on the soil. Kind of, pay attention to it. You've got to water stuff sometimes in years when the rain is not as plentiful as other years. But really, if I think about it, all I can really do is my best to make the conditions right so that stuff grows and does its thing, bears some fruit at the end of the day. I can amend the soil, which I do every spring. I can drag bags of composted manure home and sand. If I've got a clay issue, I can I can pay attention to the weeds growing and keep all that under control. I can choose where I'm going to plant certain things. I can trim branches and bushes to make sure there's more light, less light, depending what I'm going to be planting. But truthfully, I can't actually like make anything grow. That is in the hands of God, in the hands of nature. It's going to be what it's going to be. There have been times when I have planted, a lot of, let's say, tomato plants, and then we've had a series of heavy rainstorms where there's flooding or hailstorms. Some years we hardly get any rain, and then there's a whole different set of issues and constraints on the seeds and the plants. So it really is out of my control. To be sure, the plants and the seeds have, an inborn desire to be fruitful and to live and to reproduce. That is the genius of God's evolution. And I can, do all I can to prepare the soil, to make the conditions acceptable, but I can't really do anything about what's the outcome going to be. How many tomatoes am I really going to get off of this one plant? For example, living our best life is kind of the same idea, I think. We say that all the time, I want to live my best life. I tell people that all the time. Just do what you need to in your recovery to live your best life. But really, there's a big piece of that we really cannot control. We can try to find balance in our lives with our physical health. There are things that we can do. We can stop going through the fast food drive-throughs. We can prepare healthy meals on our own. And as we learned during the pandemic, some of us who didn't go out for over a year, there is more money in the bank at the end of the day when you don't go out and you're feeding yourself. It's pretty amazing. I'm talking a few $1,000s here. We look for that balance in life. We try to balance our social time with our solitude time. We try to find spirituality, whatever that means to us. To me, that means doing the things that make us feel connected to our best selves. So maybe that, is listening to music, rap music. Maybe it's listening to classical music. Maybe it's jogging. I don't know. Do those things that make you connect with your better self. We try to keep our mind active. One of the things that we know leads to dementia, especially in retirement age people, is that they stop growing intellectually. They stop learning. So we need to attend to that. Keep growing, keep learning, keep reading. We hopefully become better regulators of our emotional life. We don't fly off the handle. We don't, stay as impatient as we were when we were 20. But again, all we can do is our best efforts to kind of create an environment that is nurturing. We're not really in control of the outcomes. We certainly are not in control of the circumstances that we're going to encounter in this life. There's a lot of talk in the church about reaching out and evangelizing. This same idea applies to that, right? We can share our belief, our faith with someone else, and the best we can maybe do is plant a seed, but the rest is up to them and to God. We can, like I say, we can maybe give them an idea. We can maybe show them how, living a life of faith has changed us. But the rest really is not ours to do. I have invited, goodness, hundreds of people over the years to come to church, many of whom, have felt unwelcome in their own denominations. Many of them are gays and lesbians and trans people who are looking for a church without judgment. And sometimes they come and sometimes they don't. Mostly they don't, because it's up to God. It's up to God. The thing is this: we can't control the circumstances. We can't control any outcomes. All we can do is try to live our best, most faithful life right now in this moment, because we do not know what storms lie ahead, or drought conditions, or anything about the future. All we know by observing the created world is that everything in the universe is continuing to evolve, including us. Everything is evolving, so that ultimately the cosmic Christ will eventually be made manifest in the created universe. So if you're one of those people, and I was one of those people for a long time, when my kids were little and driving me crazy, when you have two in diapers at the same time, your life is a shit show, literally, sometimes. And I would think to myself, when the kids are older, then I'll be able to really, love my life more. I'll be living my best life. Well, then it became when the kids are in high school, when the kids are in college, when the kids move out of the house, when my car is paid off, when I finish my degrees, when I meet the right person and have the ideal relationship. It's right now. Our best life is a choice in this moment. It's not tomorrow. We might not make it till tomorrow. Can't do anything about mistakes made yesterday. We have this present moment. And what an unfortunate loss it is if we don't see the gift. We're in the garden. We're always working the soil. We're always trying to improve the conditions that will enhance and allow for the possibility of nurturing growth to develop and to become part of our reality. But we really don't control the outcome. We have an opportunity right now, today, in this moment, in every moment, to choose to live our best life, even in times of loss and sadness and frustration. We plant the seeds for our best life. The love of others waters it, helps us nurture ourselves, but ultimately it is a mystery left to God to develop the outcome. So today, let's just choose to live our best life. No matter what circumstances surround us, no matter what frustrations we might be facing, take a breath. Just take a breath. This is an amazing life, a miracle. Let's live that miracle. As Paul says in 1 Corinthians chapter 3, verse 6, I planted the seed. Apollos watered it. Apollos is another apostle. But it is God who is busy making everything grow. Let's pray. gracious God of all growing things. We come into your presence this morning acknowledging that you are the one power and the one presence in this universe and within us. Help us today to let go of limiting thoughts and beliefs that somehow today is not good enough, that somehow our fulfillment and our connection and our joy lies somehow in the mystery of tomorrow. Help us instead to take a breath, even in the midst of our frustrations, and accept the truth that we are right now living the best life. Help us right now to accept the truth that we are the living presence of Christ, that our hands can perform miracles, that our hearts can reach out and change situations and perceptions, and that our minds can always come to a deeper understanding of who we are and how we are connected to every other thing in the universe. Thank you for the gift of tears that have watered this garden of our lives. Help us, finally, gracious God, to live this life with integrity and faith, so that when others look at us, they see your power and your presence. And may they come to an awareness that all is well because you are always here. Amen. Let's make this Saturday freaking amazing.